While almost everyone seems to have an opinion about Israel and the Palestinians, hardly anyone is paying attention to the current tragedy that's occurring in Sri Lanka. If it wasn't for the persistent and loud protests in downtown Toronto from the Tamil community, I wouldn't have known much about the issue. Interestingly, the protest has only been mostly by people from the Tamil community. There has not been much interest or attention from other ethnic groups to act in solidarity with the Tamils living in Toronto or in Canada that has been protesting about the massacre that's going on right now against the Tamils in Sri Lanka. Maybe it has to do with the fact that Sri Lanka is not the Middle East. It's not considered politically or economically significant, although Tamil Tigers are labeled as a terrorist group in Canada. And I think that is right. But obviously the issue is not just about blaming the Tamil Tigers. The Sri Lanka government has also been very much responsible for the deaths that's going on. Both sides accuse the other of these deaths. The Tiger put down the government because of the artillery shelling done by the army into the safe zone area, and the army say that the Tigers fire into the camp, so they can blame the army. Similarly, like Israel, the government of Sri Lanka has continued to ignore the call for ceasefire by the International AIDS Agency and the United Nations. And similarly, like the massacre in Gaza, the government of Sri Lanka has banned any independent journalist to report the number of civilians deaths and the displacement of civilians from the designated safe zone. In fact, Human Rights Watch has characterized the Sri Lanka government as one of the worst perpetrators of enforced disappearances. Some 6,500 civilians have been killed since January, and another 100,000 are caught facing carnage and without adequate food, shelter, and medicine in a crossfire between the Tigers and the government forces. And an additional 140,000 or so have fled the war zone and are being held in military-run camps, where conditions, according to the most recent report, are similar to those in Nazi-run concentration camps. Journalists and humanitarian workers have been banned from these camps for over a month. It's too easy to blame the Tamil Tiger or any insurgency force like the Hamas or Hezbollah, because truth be told, these insurgents have used many brutal acts and terrorist acts such as suicide bombing or converting children into soldiers, and just all these acts are despicable. But also, I think, just like in any other conflict, it's important to take into context of the situation. The reason there is this conflict in Sri Lanka can be traced to the effect of the divide and rule policy devised by British colonial administrators that govern Sri Lanka. Who would have guessed colonialism has something to do with today's conflict? And in the 19th century and early 20th century, the British used the island Tamils minority to keep its Sinhalese majority in check, and in turn give Tamil the best government job and the benefit of English education. But with independence in 1948 is blowback time, and the Tamil were deprived of their patron and found themselves outnumbered and marginalized inside a new Sri Lanka unitary state. And with Tamils rendered politically irrelevant, politicians have competed with each other for the Sinhalese vote and discovered that the political party with the stronger anti-minority stance is always the one that guarantees electoral success. Like Canada, it's a country full of minority, and the Tamil community has made a case that the Tamil community is being very much targeted by the Sri Lanka government. Even though Tamil Tiger is a terrorist group, still it doesn't come out of nowhere. The group came out of this notion, this effect that the Tamil community is marginalized and is a minority. And the Tamil community in Canada is using all their forces and all their might to make their voices heard, and we should recognize that. We should hear that, and we should know that we should say to the government of Sri Lanka that they cannot use military aggression to seek a permanent solution to the Tamil minority problems. Even though the protests might be, causing inconvenience, traffic or whatever, but clearly we're not doing enough. Clearly, it's mostly just Tamil people protesting. It's time for other people in Canada, other community, to stand in solidarity with these people.